For centuries, Earth had known peace. Humans had settled into a rhythm, exploring their solar system, making breakthroughs in science and technology, and living as though the galaxy was their oyster. The terrifying memories of the Galactic Council's attempt to erase Earth from history were nothing but stories passed down through generations, ancient tales that no one truly believed anymore. Earth was forgotten, left alone by the greater powers of the galaxy. But all of that was about to change. It started with a strange hum. It wasn't loud at first, just a faint vibration in the air that only a few scientists noticed. But as the days passed, the hum became more persistent, growing louder and stronger until it reached a point where no one could ignore it. It was coming from the depths of space, beyond their reach, beyond their knowledge. The hum was a signal they weren't prepared for. The first to detect it was Dr. Olivia Reeve, one of Earth's leading astrophysicists. She had spent years researching deep space transmissions, hoping to make contact with other civilizations. The signal wasn't random static like so many others. No, this one was deliberate. It was structured, mathematical, precise. She immediately contacted her colleagues, urging them to look into it, fearing the implications of what it could mean. As the signal grew stronger, Earth's leaders became involved. Governments scrambled to understand what they were facing. The United Nations called an emergency session. Military officials worked with scientists around the clock. But despite all their efforts, they couldn't make sense of the signal. It was unlike anything they had ever encountered. It seemed alien, yet familiar, like it was speaking directly to humanity, challenging them, even mocking them. Then, as if to answer all their questions, the signal changed. It went from a deep hum to a sharp, clear voice, cutting through the static with a chilling message. Humanity, you have been forgotten. The Galactic Council has erased you. You are nothing. The words echoed in the minds of everyone who heard them. The message continued, its cold, mechanical voice sending shivers down the spines of those listening. But we have returned, it said. And this time, there will be no mercy. The room went silent. Every person who had heard that message felt a cold chill sweep through their veins. The Council's threat wasn't just a warning. It was a declaration of war. The very same council that had nearly wiped Earth from existence 3,000 years ago had returned. And now they were sending a message to humanity, daring them to respond. Dr. Reeve's hands trembled as she stared at the screen. The signal continued, its words haunting the minds of all who listened. The Galactic Council had erased Earth's history, removing all records, all traces of human civilization. For millennia, humanity had been nothing but a memory, a forgotten species in the eyes of the galaxy. The Council had believed that humanity was gone forever, that Earth had been destroyed, its people wiped out without a trace. But humanity was not gone. The world's leaders quickly gathered, trying to make sense of the situation. Was this a hoax, a prank by some rogue group, or was this the real deal? There was no time to waste, no time for doubt. Every scientist, every military leader, every strategist began to prepare. The Galactic Council was coming, and they would not be caught unprepared. Across the globe, governments began to mobilize. Hidden defense systems, long thought obsolete, were reactivated. Satellites that had been abandoned for decades blinked to life, scanning the skies for signs of the incoming fleet. Humanity had learned from the past. They would not be caught off guard again. But there was something else, something humanity had been hiding for centuries. In the deepest corners of the Earth, underground bunkers and secret bases contained weapons and technology that could change the course of history. Humanity had been quietly preparing for this day, a day they had always feared but never truly believed would come. Dr. Reeve stood at the heart of the control center, her face pale as she processed the message. She knew something that no one else did. The Galactic Council had made a grave mistake. They thought humanity was weak, forgotten. They thought that after 3,000 years, Earth would be a relic, a ghost planet. But they were wrong. Humanity was ready. They had always been ready. As the signal began to fade, Dr. Reeves' voice cut through the silence. "They don't know it yet," she whispered, almost to herself. "But they've just made their biggest mistake. They think we've forgotten. But we remember everything." The people in the room turned to her, eyes wide with a mix of fear and awe. They knew what that meant. The Galactic Council had made an enemy of humanity, and now they would feel the full weight of their mistake. The next few moments passed in a blur. The world held its breath as Earth's military and scientific forces prepared for the unimaginable. The Galactic Council had returned, and Earth was ready to fight back. But the question lingered in the air. What would humanity do with the power they had kept hidden for so long? Would they use it to destroy their enemies, or would they do something even more unexpected? As the clock ticked down, humanity stood on the precipice of a war that could change the galaxy forever. And the Galactic Council had no idea what was coming. The message from the Galactic Council had sent shockwaves through every corner of Earth. Governments scrambled to respond. Military forces were put on high alert, and scientists worked tirelessly to decode the remaining fragments of the signal. The entire planet was bracing for something they weren't sure they could survive. In the heart of Earth's Defense Command Center, Dr. Olivia Reeve was working around the clock. Her mind raced with thoughts of what the Galactic Council's return could mean. The Council had wiped out entire civilizations in the past, and humanity had been one of their greatest threats. But what they didn't know was that Earth had changed. Humanity had been quietly preparing for centuries. And the truth was, the Council didn't stand a chance. The first few days after the signal had arrived were chaotic. Countries debated the best course of action, some opting for diplomatic measures, others preparing for the worst. But Dr. Reeves' team wasn't focused on diplomacy. They knew the Council's message wasn't just a threat. It was a warning that Earth had better prepare for an invasion. The galaxy's most powerful empire was coming, and they would stop at nothing to ensure humanity's extinction. The military mobilized quickly, reactivating long-forgotten defense systems. They worked to scan the skies for any sign of the Council's fleet. But it was clear that humanity wasn't just fighting to survive anymore. They were fighting for revenge, for the chance to finally make the Galactic Council pay for their crimes against Earth. In a secret facility hidden deep within a mountain range, the remnants of humanity's greatest weapon were being prepared for use. Long ago, before Earth was erased from the galaxy's records, a hidden faction of humans had developed technology so powerful it could change the very course of history. These weapons had been locked away for centuries, hidden in bunkers, buried under layers of secrecy. No one knew about them except for a select few. And now, the time had come to unleash them. Dr. Reeve entered the underground command room, her eyes scanning the room as she took in the gravity of the situation. The team working with her had uncovered something extraordinary, an ancient spacecraft buried deep beneath the Earth's surface. It was a relic from a forgotten time, a ship far more advanced than anything humanity had ever created. The Galactic Council had thought they'd wiped Earth out, leaving no trace of the humans that had once been a threat. But what they didn't know was that Earth had hidden its greatest weapon for this very moment. "Activate the ship," Dr. Reeve commanded. Her voice was calm, but her heart was racing. It was time for humanity to remind the galaxy just who they were. The engineers began to work, flipping switches and pressing buttons as they brought the ancient craft back to life. As the ship's engines hummed to life, a deep sense of power filled the room. It was as though Earth itself had awakened, ready to take on the forces that had once sought to destroy it. Meanwhile, on the surface, Earth's military forces were coordinating with the United Nations to strategize their next move. Satellites were placed into orbit to track any movement from the Galactic Council's fleet. Each nation, once isolated and divided, now worked together with a single purpose: to ensure humanity's survival and to take revenge for the atrocities committed against their ancestors. But Dr. Reeve knew that there was more to this than just a fight for survival. This wasn't just about defending Earth. It was about reclaiming humanity's place in the galaxy, about showing the Galactic Council that humans weren't weak, that they could no longer be underestimated. The countdown to the invasion had begun, and the tension in the command center was palpable. Each second felt like an eternity as humanity prepared for the inevitable clash with the Council's fleet. The question remained, would Earth's hidden weapons be enough to turn the tide? Would the Galactic Council even be prepared for the wrath of humanity, a species that had been underestimated for far too long? Dr. Reeve stood silently, her mind racing as she stared at the ship now fully activated. It was more than just a ship. It was a symbol of humanity's resilience, of their ability to survive, to adapt, and to fight back when pushed to the edge. "We are not the same humans they try to erase," Dr. Reeve muttered under her breath, her eyes narrowing. "This time, we fight back." The room was filled with the sound of technicians working, preparing the ship and weapons for deployment. Dr. Reeve's heart pounded in her chest. It was only a matter of time now before the Galactic Council would realize the mistake they had made. Across the world, humans were preparing for battle in their own ways. Governments had unified, rallying their people with one clear message: humanity would not fall. Earth would not be erased again, and they would make sure that the Galactic Council knew exactly who they were dealing with. As the final moments before battle approached, Dr. Reeve looked up at the massive holographic display in front of her, which showed a map of the galaxy. The Galactic Council's fleet was still far away, but their arrival was inevitable. The countdown was almost finished, and the Earth was ready for the final act. The galaxy had underestimated humanity once, but it would not happen again. The moment humanity had been waiting for had arrived. The Galactic Council's fleet, massive and imposing, was drawing closer to Earth. Their ships were vast, covered in dark metal, and their advanced technology was capable of annihilating entire planets. They believed they would once again sweep through Earth with ease, just as they had done with countless other civilizations before. But they were wrong. From the shadows of Earth's moon, the ancient human ship, now fully powered and ready, rose into the sky. It was an awe-inspiring sight, sleek and shining, despite the wear and tear of time. The ship was far from just a vessel. It was a symbol of humanity's ingenuity, an answer to the Galactic Council's arrogance. Dr. Reeve watched as the ship's engines roared to life, lifting off from the surface of the moon. The air was thick with tension, but there was no turning back now. Earth was about to deliver a message that would echo across the galaxy. "Commence the first strike," she ordered, her voice steady but full of determination. On Earth, the military forces waited anxiously, eyes glued to the screens as the battle began. A series of satellites launched into space, focusing on the Galactic Council's fleet as it neared the solar system. The humans had no intention of waiting for the Council to strike first. They were going to show them that Earth would not be a victim this time. In the vast reaches of space, the first human ship moved into position. Its systems hummed as it activated weapons that hadn't been used in millennia. The ship was silent, a haunting reminder of Earth's forgotten power. When it was in position, Dr. Reeve gave the order. The first shot was fired. A pulse of energy shot from the ship, streaking across space like a comet. It hit one of the Galactic Council's warships squarely in the side. The explosion was visible from Earth, a massive burst of light in the cold vacuum of space. The Galactic Council was unprepared. Their ships had been designed for domination, not defense. They hadn't expected humans to possess the ability to strike back with such force. For the first time in their long history of conquest, they had been caught off guard. The Council's command ship, a towering fortress of technology, was the first to retaliate. Weapons fired from it, sending a barrage of lasers toward the human ship. But the humans were ready. They had anticipated every move. The ship's advanced shields deflected the blasts, and the crew inside remained calm, their training and resolve carrying them through the chaos. The humans weren't just defending. They were attacking with purpose. The first strike had been a warning, but the battle that followed was one for survival, and the humans had no intention of losing. On Earth, the entire world held its breath as the battle raged in space. The Galactic Council's fleet had underestimated their enemies, and now they were about to pay the price. Dr. Reeve, watching the battle unfold from her command center, clenched her fists. It was only the beginning. The first strike had been successful, but it was only a small victory in the larger war ahead. The Galactic Council had no idea what was coming next. "Prepare the second wave," she ordered. The preparations for the next wave of attacks began immediately. Earth's fleet, now fully mobilized, was ready to back up the ancient ship. Every weapon, every strategy, had been calculated down to the smallest detail. The humans had learned from their past mistakes. They would not be caught off guard again. The Galactic Council, on the other hand, was scrambling to respond. They had never encountered anything like this before. The humans had been a myth, a forgotten species, and now they were being forced to reckon with the reality of Earth's return. In the vastness of space, as the battle continued, the Galactic Council's ships began to feel the weight of their decision. They had thought Earth was a weak, insignificant planet, easily erased, easily forgotten. But now, they were facing a force more powerful than they could have imagined. They had awakened a sleeping giant, and it was hungry for revenge. Back on Earth, the world watched as their fate was decided in the stars. The first strike had been just the beginning. This was not a war of survival. It was a war for justice, and humanity would not stop until they had reclaimed their place in the galaxy. The battle had escalated far beyond what the Galactic Council had anticipated. They had been expecting a quick, easy conquest, a simple mission to erase an insignificant species from the galaxy's history. What they had encountered instead was something far more dangerous, an Earth that was determined to reclaim its place. From the Council's flagship, the tension was palpable. The first strike had been just a warning, but now the humans were no longer waiting. Their ships moved with precision, attacking from multiple directions and forcing the Council's fleet into a defensive position. The once proud and confident Empire was beginning to feel the pressure. Commander Xylar, the lead strategist of the Galactic Council, was furious. His fleet had been ambushed by a species that was supposed to have been wiped out centuries ago. The idea that humans had been hiding, waiting for this moment, was almost too much for him to grasp. But as the explosions continued to echo across space, he realized something. Earth was no longer a forgotten world. It was back, and it was ready to fight. "Get me every fleet commander," Xylar shouted, his voice filled with frustration. The holographic screen flickered to life, showing the faces of several high-ranking officers across the fleet. "We've underestimated them. We've been caught off guard, and we need to take control of the situation now. Earth cannot be allowed to stand against us." The Council officers nodded grimly. They had lost several ships in the initial exchange, and the humans were showing no sign of backing down. The ships that Earth had sent were far more advanced than anything the Council had expected, and their tactics were cunning. Earth was not the primitive race they had believed it to be. Back on Earth, the humans were still riding the high of their victory. They had struck a heavy blow, but they knew the battle was far from over. Dr. Reeve paced back and forth in the war room, looking at the star charts and battle reports as they came in. The Galactic Council was not going to simply give up. They would retaliate. "We've only begun," Dr. Reeve muttered under her breath. "Prepare the next wave. We need to show them that Earth isn't just fighting for survival. We're fighting for justice." Across the planet, the sound of humanity preparing for battle echoed through the cities. The factories that had once been silent now hummed with life, working overtime to produce more ships, more weapons, and more technology. The humans were ready to strike again, and this time, they were coming for the heart of the Galactic Council. At the same time, the Galactic Council was making their move. They were not about to let a single species stand in their way. The Council had set its sights on Earth, and they were determined to crush it beneath their boots. The fleets were regrouping, forming a large offensive force that would show the humans just how powerful the Empire truly was. Commander Xylar stood before his fleet, addressing his officers. "We will not fail. We will crush Earth's fleet and end this rebellion before it can spread. Prepare the weapons. Let them feel the full might of the Galactic Council." The engines of the Council's flagship roared to life, and the ships began to maneuver into position. Their strategy was clear: overwhelm the humans with sheer numbers and firepower. But the humans were prepared. They were no longer the weak species that the Empire had once dismissed. They were a force to be reckoned with. Back on Earth, the second wave of humans took flight. This time, the stakes were even higher. The humans knew they were outnumbered, but they also knew that the Galactic Council had made one critical mistake. They had underestimated the power of the human spirit. The battle began anew. Massive energy blasts lit up the sky as the two sides clashed in the vast emptiness of space. The humans fought with everything they had, and their ships darted in and out of the Galactic Council's fire, showing remarkable agility and speed. The Council's fleet was massive, but the humans were nimble, and they used the knowledge of their own world and its resources to their advantage. For every ship the humans lost, they took down 2 or 3 of the Council's. The battle was brutal, but humanity was not backing down. The Earth ships, though smaller, were equipped with cutting-edge technology, weapons designed to break through the shields of the Council's ships. The human fleet wasn't just fighting to survive. They were fighting to protect everything they had ever known. Commander Xylar watched in disbelief as one of his ships exploded in a brilliant flash of light. The humans were holding their ground, and they were winning. A part of him had known that the Empire's grip on the galaxy was slipping. But now, seeing it firsthand, he couldn't believe how quickly things had turned. "We need reinforcements," Xylar ordered, panic creeping into his voice. But it was too late. Humanity had awakened a power that no one in the galaxy had anticipated. As the Galactic Council's ships continued to fall, the message was clear: Earth was back, and it would never be erased again. Dr. Reeve, watching from her command center, gave a nod of approval as the ships continued their assault. The Galactic Council was learning the hard way that they had made a grave mistake. Earth wasn't just fighting to survive anymore. They were fighting to make the galaxy pay for its arrogance. The war raged on for what felt like an eternity. The Galactic Council's fleets had regrouped, and they were coming at Earth with a vengeance. Yet, with every attack, humanity proved to be more resilient, more resourceful, and more relentless than the Council had ever imagined. The Council's arrogance was beginning to crumble, piece by piece. The vast emptiness of space had become a battleground, littered with the wreckage of destroyed ships and the remains of fallen warriors. Humanity had already faced a brutal first wave, but they refused to back down. Earth was not just fighting for survival anymore. It was fighting for redemption, for the right to be recognized, for revenge against those who had erased them from the stars. Dr. Reeve stood at the control center, her eyes fixed on the holographic projections that displayed the battle. She could see the Council's fleets trying to encircle Earth, pushing back with overwhelming force, but humanity wasn't finished yet. With every loss, there was a new wave of fighters, ships, and reinforcements. The humans were adapting, learning, and becoming more efficient. The turning tide was just beginning. "Activate the Omega Protocol," Dr. Reeve ordered, her voice steady but filled with anticipation. The Omega Protocol was Earth's last card, a weapon so powerful that it had been kept hidden, only to be used as a last resort. The Council had no idea that humanity possessed such technology. In a moment of silence, Earth's fleet powered up their secret weapon. A massive energy field rippled across space as a colossal energy pulse shot from Earth's fleet, striking a massive Council battleship. The ship's shields flickered and then crumbled under the intensity of the blast. In mere moments, the ship exploded into a cloud of debris, marking a decisive shift in the battle. On the Galactic Council's flagship, Commander Xylar's face turned white with horror as he watched one of his largest vessels disintegrate. "What was that?" he demanded, his voice shaking. His fleet had never faced anything like this. It appears. A new weapon, one of his officers said, his voice trembling. The humans. They've been hiding it. The realization hit Commander Xylar like a hammer. The humans had been holding back, using only a fraction of their true power. The Council's entire strategy, built on overwhelming force, was crumbling before him. They had underestimated Earth's ability to adapt, to evolve, and to fight. Now, they were paying the price. Prepare for immediate retreat, Xylar ordered, his voice tense with desperation. We cannot afford to lose any more ships. But it was too late. The Omega Protocol had proven just how far humanity was willing to go. The energy wave had been a message. Earth was no longer a planet to be erased or forgotten. It was a force to be reckoned with. Back on Earth, the people cheered. They had done it. The battle was far from over, but they had finally shown the Council that they were not to be underestimated. The Omega Protocol had turned the tide, but there was still a long road ahead. Dr. Reeve watched the battle unfold, her face hardening. The Galactic Council had been wounded, but they were not defeated. Yet, for the first time, humanity had the upper hand. The Council's ships began to falter, and the humans pressed their advantage. We're not finished yet, Dr. Reeve said, her voice filled with conviction. We will take the fight to them. This is just the beginning. And so, with a renewed sense of purpose, humanity's fleet continued to fight. They knew they had to act fast before the Galactic Council could regroup and strike back. The next wave of attacks would be crucial. The humans had won a major battle, but the war was far from over. The Galactic Council's leaders were in disarray, unsure of how to respond. Their once proud fleets were now scattered across space, their numbers dwindling. Every time they thought they had gained the upper hand, humanity struck back harder, faster, and more ruthlessly than before. The balance of power in the galaxy was shifting, and it was only a matter of time before the Galactic Council's reign would come to an end. Dr. Reeve looked toward the stars, her heart filled with determination. Earth had suffered for too long, and now it was time for humanity to reclaim its place in the galaxy. The Galactic Council had made the fatal mistake of thinking humanity was weak, of thinking humanity could be forgotten. They were wrong. The battle for Earth was not just about revenge. It was about showing the galaxy that humans would not be erased. They were strong, they were resilient, and they were here to stay. And as the ships continued to rise from Earth's surface, the message was clear. Humanity's fight had just begun. The Galactic Council, battered and on the brink of collapse, had one last hope, a final, desperate gambit to crush humanity before they could fully take control of the galaxy. Their last fleet, the most powerful they had ever built, was approaching Earth with one purpose: to destroy it once and for all. But humanity, emboldened by their victories, was prepared. Commander Xylar stood at the helm of his flagship, his face twisted in frustration and fear. His once proud fleet was now a shadow of its former self, decimated by humanity's surprise weapons, ingenuity, and relentless spirit. Yet, they still had one card to play, a weapon so powerful that it could wipe Earth off the map in an instant. The Council's elite fleet was their final attempt to regain control, to erase Earth's presence in the galaxy and ensure their dominance. But as the galactic fleet drew closer, the humans didn't retreat. They didn't fear the incoming attack. Instead, they prepared for the most crucial battle of all. Back on Earth, the command center was buzzing with activity. Dr. Reeve paced back and forth as she looked at the tactical display. The galactic fleet was now in range, and the time had come. She could feel the weight of the moment. The galaxy was watching, waiting to see if humanity could hold its ground one final time. "Activate the defense grid," Dr. Reeve ordered, her voice firm. "It's time to end this." In an instant, the entire human fleet shifted into position. The defense grid, a massive network of interlocking energy shields and weapons, powered up, creating a nearly impenetrable barrier around Earth. The weapons systems hummed with energy as humanity's ships lined up for the final confrontation. Xylar watched in disbelief as the human fleet mobilized. Earth's defenses had grown stronger, faster than he could have ever imagined. This wasn't the weak, defenseless planet he had expected to conquer. This was a force to be reckoned with. The arrogance of the Galactic Council had blinded them, and now they were about to pay the price. "This is it," Xylar muttered to his officers, his face pale. "We hit them with everything we have." The battle began with a deafening roar. The Galactic Fleet launched their first wave of devastating attacks, massive energy blasts meant to tear through Earth's defenses. The human fleet responded with equal fury, firing back with everything at their disposal. The sky above Earth lit up with explosions, streaks of energy, and flashes of light as the two forces clashed in the heart of space. Despite the overwhelming power of the Galactic Council, Earth's defense grid held strong. The human ships, nimble and powerful, darted through the chaos, striking back with precision. Dr. Reeve watched the battle unfold, her heart racing, knowing this would be the moment that determined humanity's fate. "This is for Earth," she whispered under her breath. The war had reached its apex. Humanity had fought for survival, for revenge, for redemption. But this final battle wasn't just about winning. It was about proving to the galaxy that humanity would never again be erased, that they would fight for their place in the stars, no matter the cost. The battle raged on, the stakes higher than ever. With each passing second, the humans pressed harder, pushing the Galactic Fleet back inch by inch. Every ship, every soldier, every life had come down to this one moment in time. The Galactic Fleet, once so mighty and confident, was now faltering, unable to match the determination and sheer willpower of Earth's people. Commander Xylar's flagship shook violently as one of the human ships broke through their lines. Panic began to spread throughout the Council's fleet. This wasn't just another skirmish. It wasn't a battle to be won with sheer firepower alone. Humanity was fighting with everything they had, and they were winning. Xylar's eyes widened in realization. They can't. They won't stop, will they? "No, Commander," one of his officers replied, his voice shaking. "They won't." The human fleet, despite being outnumbered and outgunned, was turning the tide. With each strike, with every battle cry, they pushed the Council back. The Galactic Empire was no longer the dominant force in the galaxy. It was now a shadow of its former self, crumbling under the weight of humanity's will. The final battle was over, and Earth had emerged victorious. The remnants of the once proud Galactic Empire were now scattered across the stars, their power broken, their pride shattered. Humanity had not only survived, but had shown the galaxy the true strength of their spirit. Yet, despite the triumph, a strange sense of calm had settled over Earth's leaders. As the dust began to settle from the final confrontation, Dr. Reeve stood in the command center, looking out at the stars. The victory had been hard-won, but it was not the end of the story. The galaxy had been forever changed, and Earth now stood at the center of it all. The war had been brutal, but it had also awakened something deeper within humanity. It was not just the desire for revenge that had driven them to victory. It was a sense of unity, of resilience, and of hope. They had fought not for vengeance alone, but for the future of their species, for the right to shape their own destiny in the cosmos. As Earth's new fleet prepared to venture beyond their homeworld, Dr. Reeve turned to her colleagues, her eyes filled with determination. "We have shown the galaxy what humanity is capable of. Now it's time to rebuild and ensure that this never happens again. We will forge new alliances, protect the innocent, and explore the stars, but we will never forget the lessons we've learned." Commander Xylar, now a prisoner of war, had been taken to Earth for interrogation. Though his pride had been crushed, he could see it in the eyes of his captors. Humanity was no longer the underdog. They were a force to be reckoned with. Xylar had learned the hard way that the human spirit could never be broken. The people of Earth had finally earned their place among the stars, and they knew the challenges ahead would be just as difficult as the ones they had already faced. But now, they faced those challenges with a strength that could not be extinguished, Across the galaxy, other civilizations were watching. Some feared humanity's rise, others were eager to see how Earth would lead. One thing was certain: the era of the Galactic Empire was over, and a new age had begun. An age where humanity would not just survive, but thrive. The Galactic Council, once a powerful force in the universe, had been toppled. But humanity's victory was not just about revenge. It was about redemption. It was about proving that no matter how dark the galaxy had become, humanity would always find a way to rise, to rebuild, and to inspire. As Earth's ships set sail toward distant stars, the message was clear: humanity was here to stay. The universe would have to learn to live with them, just as humanity had learned to live with its past. And with that, a new chapter in humanity's story began. Earth's triumph had not been the end of their journey. It had only been the beginning. The stars were now within reach, and humanity was ready to chart its course. The war was over, but the future was theirs to shape.